What's going on, guys? Welcome back to another video. Today's video is a bit of a special one, a little bit out of character for the channel, but it's a celebration video, as you guys could probably tell by the title there. But yeah, celebrating 7,000 subscribers. That's pretty crazy to think about. Like when you think about how many people that actually is, it's a lot. So big thank you to all of you guys who have been subscribed since the beginning. Thank you to all the new people who have come in recently. I think no matter how long you've been here, you probably know I'm relatively inconsistent as a YouTuber because that's not fully my jam. Like I'm a musician, right? And I of course, some of you know now I'm in a band as well, so I'm pursuing the music side of things more heavily. So yeah, I'm in a band now called The Definitive, if you didn't know. We've been going for just over a year now, like a year and a few months, and we're super excited about what's to come here, and we've had a blast so far. So that's taken up a lot of my time, and yeah, when I have some spare time, then I come back and do some content stuff for YouTube. So today, in celebration of 7,000, we're gonna do an updated rig rundown. It's been, I think, a few years since I've done a rig rundown on my stuff. So a lot has changed since then. And yeah, I'll take you guys through what I'm using. This will be my live rig as well. So my live rig, I just use that for my studio as well, just because it's actually really easy plug and play rig that I've got running here. So yeah, so to start off with, probably the biggest fish in the room is the guitar I've been playing recently. I've had quite a few questions about it. And this is the my signature model Dark Matter SG. And so what it is it was a kit guitar from I believe they're a Canadian company called Solo Guitars, or Solo Music Gear. And so it was just an SG kit that I bought from them. And I'll put a few pictures in here just so you guys can see more of a close-up of what it looks like. For those of you that followed along from the beginning of this guitar, you'll see the pictures I'm showing now. It's a little more weathered from the road use that it's been getting. So yeah, so this guitar I got and kind of put the kit together, but it was very much a Frankenstein project, if you will, because and my mic's being weird here. The only original pieces from the kit on the guitar that are left are the neck, the body, and the bridge. And so what ended up happening was, because I wanted this sideways tremolo system on it, the holes that were pre-drilled for the bridge were in the way of it. And so I had to not only plug the original tailpiece holes, but plug the bridge holes as well, and then move this bridge up a little bit, which of course I'm not a luthier, so I didn't do it perfectly. And if you look closely, the low E string on this guitar actually kind of juts out that way a little bit because the bridge isn't perfectly drilled. So it works for me. I really enjoy it. It plays really well. It's smooth like butter. The other thing I ran into actually was with the neck. So because I had to move the bridge, the intonation was out on the neck, and I didn't know anything about intonation when I was building it. So of course I strung up the high E string, and I played the open E, and then the high E, 12th fret, but it started sounding like this. So I was like, uh-oh, something's wrong, and looked into it a bit more. And of course the intonation is the distance from here to here has to be the same distance from here to here. So that was another learning experience. And then, so what I did was I put on a block on the end of the neck, and that's what this wood piece is, where you would normally see a tenon cover on an SG guitar. So it's just a little extension to the neck, and it made the intonation go right back in where it was supposed to be. Now, because of that, it made the action off, and the angle was a bit too low up here, so it was a little too much like that. And so I took some cardboard from a cracker box, put it underneath that, which raised it up a little bit because you can cut it out in the shape of the neck. And yeah, the action is phenomenal on it. I mean, it feels great. I wouldn't say it feels like a Gibson because it's not craftsmanship like Gibson has, but it feels very nice, and I'm very happy with how it plays when I play live, hence it being my number one every night when I play with the Definitive. So yeah, this is the the Dark Matter. I've got Seymour Duncan 59 or SH1 bridge and neck pickups here. This is just a flame tortoise pickguard I got from Amazon. I got a premium wiring kit with pots from Stu Mac in there. So they've got the orange drop capacitors. I really wanted those because the kit that, what comes with the kit is just the little pots and kind of crappy wiring. So I wanted to upgrade everything to make it a little more on the premium side so that it's reliable when I play on stage. Then the gold top hat knobs just from Amazon, you can order those in. I don't think they're any high quality. They look good. And then of course you've got this tailpiece, the sideways tremolo tailpiece, which, that one was very, very hard to find, but, Crazy Parts has it. So if you're looking for a website that carries them, Crazy Parts. And then of course just your standard Grover tuners up at the top here. Can't go wrong with them. I really enjoy them and they work great. So yeah, that's the guitar. It sounds great. I love it. The Seymour Duncan 59 sound phenomenal. Like you can't go wrong with them. I would highly recommend. They're just like PAFs. So so that's my main guitar that I'm using now. My backup when I go on stage, just in case I break a string, is the Gibson version of this. You guys have seen that before. The Gibson 61 SG with the sideways vibrola, and it's just there in case I break a string, because with it being a floating system, it goes out of tune if you snap a string. Now I have tried to block it. I stuck a big screw in there, but that doesn't totally block it. So there's still a little bit of intonation change when you break a string. So I brought that just in case. I thankfully haven't broken a string since I blocked the system, but I really should get on buying a proper blocking kit, but they're kind of pricey. So so that's my main rig. Of course, my backup guitar is the SG, and then if I'm playing in a different tuning, then I'll use my Les Paul Standard. So that's my playing side of things. Now on the electronics side of things, so this is where it gets interesting, because as some of you know, Universal Audio has put out a line of amp modeling pedals, and so they've got the Ruby, the Dream, and the Lion, and there's a few others. And so what these are is basically they model a specific type of amp. So the Dream models a Fender Super Reverb, if I remember correctly. The Ruby models a Vox. I don't remember what Vox, but and then the Lion models a 68 Super Lead, so essentially a Plexi amp. And so I ended up renting the Lion for a little bit just to see if it was all the hype, and it absolutely was. So I rented it for about a month, and then I purchased it outright when the rental was up, and was very happy with it. And so when I play here, you're just hearing the Lion. Like I'm not using this amp. I only use this amp once in a while if I just want to plug in and play real quick, because this is all my pedal board and I have to go DI into a PA and stuff like that. But it works really well for live shows. It's very convenient, and for recording. So I'm using this Lion and there's three different amp heads that you can choose from. There's the Super Bass head, the Super Lead head, and then there's the Brown head, which is I believe modeled after Eddie Van Halen, if I'm remembering correctly. So it's basically a modified Plexi head. And then it's got 6 different cabinets you can choose from, which are also very, very cool. And I'm using, I think, the 6th option. I don't know exactly what it models, but they've got greenback speakers in there. I believe creambacks. Yeah, all sorts of different options. I just went through and tried to figure out what sounded best with a buddy of mine. And yeah, we kind of had a little shootout of all these different options on the pedal, and yeah, found out this option, and it sounds the best for what I'm doing. And you're just hearing the pedal there. There's no effects pedals on at all. So yeah, that's my main, rig right there, is that pedal, or the amp modeling pedal from Universal Audio. Phenomenal pedal. I couldn't recommend it enough. And there are other pedals too. I have tried the Dream before, and I have friends who have the Dream, and they're just so happy with it. So if you're a touring musician, especially early on, where you're tighter on space, or you don't have the money to spend on a big amp, it's like 550 Canadian dollars, which is, what is that, like 400 something US? It's cheap compared to a tube amp and a cab, and then you don't have to worry about tubes burning out, stuff like that. Or if you're just a studio musician too, like you record covers and stuff, it's great for your studio because you don't have to mess around with miking your amp, finding a good spot, and then compressing everything, making it sound good. It's just plug and play, essentially. It's very nice. So yeah, that's my main brain of the whole rig that I've got here. Everything else is just kind of like the icing on the cake, right? It just adds to it, whereas the bulk of it comes from this pedal. So the first thing I've got in my lineup, that amp is at the end. It goes at the end, just as if it were a real amp, with one exception. I'll get to that after. So at the start, I've just got my Dunlop Crybaby wah. That's pretty self-explanatory. It just goes wah. So, and then after that, I've got my Boss Chromatic Tuner, the TU3. Very nice to have when you're a live performing musician, because ideally you don't want to be playing shows with a snark on your head. Nothing against snark. They're great tuners, but it just looks better when you've got nothing sitting up here. And it even knows when you're in a big, loud area, it's hard to tune versus just sending your signal straight into a pedal. So Chromatic Tuner right there. I got that used. Great deal. And yeah, if you can find them used, it's a good deal. Boss Super Shifter. Okay, this one's interesting. So the Boss Super Shifter, which is a PS5, they don't make it anymore, but they make something similar. I think it's called a harmonizer or something like that now. And essentially what it does is it can be an octave pedal, it can be a harmony pedal, it can be almost like a chorus pedal. Like here, I'll show you what, because I use it as chorus. So it kind of gives like a psychedelic sound to it, So that's kind of what I'm using that pedal for right now. But yes, it does double as an octaver or a harmonizer, or even a whammy pedal. Like you can do whammy stuff with it, I'm pretty sure. And it a tremolo as well. If you hold it down, it'll like add vibrato to your sound, or tremolo. So very convenient pedal, very, very nice. Yeah, I didn't think I would use it as much as I do, but I use it quite a bit, and now it's got a permanent place on my board for now. So yeah, that's that pedal. The next pedal I'm ripping here on my board is, one sec, let me set it's a delay pedal. So you probably heard this if you watched my last video covering the band Feel in the Garden. Check those guys out if you haven't already. Please check them out. You're doing yourself a favor. They're phenomenal. That last video, I covered them at the beginning. There's some delay. So it's just a delay pedal. It can be just a delay pedal, but it can also be much more than that. And so the first time I was introduced to this pedal was at an Ariel Posen show. And if you haven't heard of him either, definitely check him out. Phenomenal guitar player as well. And so I heard it at an Ariel Posen show and was just in awe of what the heck he was using to make the sounds he was making. Because, and let me flip a switch here. Now check this out, and hopefully it'll work here. So very, very different, right? So it's kind of like a reverb or a delay octaver, which is very cool. And so I was super drawn to that after watching Ariel Posen live, and went and looked for the pedal and found it for a decent price on Reverb and ordered it along. And now I've had it on my board since. And for now, I'm only really using it as a standard delay. I haven't really got that octave part worked into our set, but it's a very, very cool option, and there's other things on it too that I haven't really even explored just because it's so advanced. So yeah, this is by Chase Bliss. It's a Therme. So very, very cool pedal. Super, super stoked about that one. So yeah, let me shut this off here. And then next pedal in the lineup is just a standard TS9. I mean, what more can I say? It's a tube screamer. No tube screamer? That was the tube screamer there. So I use that mainly for my solos. It just adds a little bit more depth to my tone, fills it out a little bit more because I need to cover a bit more ground sonically when I play live. And hopefully I can expand on that more because I feel like it's still not quite covering just enough sonically. I think something of a stereo rig might help. But yeah, so a tube screamer, pretty self-explanatory, cool pedal, highly recommend. And that's kind of my gain pedal, if you will. The next pedal in the chain here is a Dunlop MXR reverb pedal. And so this is one of two reverb pedals that I'm using in my lineup. And so what this one does is it's more of a dreamy reverb. It's thicker, dreamier, bigger. And I'll typically use it for like when we do the guitar solo in our song Stella, you know. It just gets that thicker sound to it for when you're doing a bigger guitar solo. So that's the reverb pedal there. It's also got different settings on it that you can use. There's plate, there's spring. I'm using like a bigger hall reverb, I guess that's what you would call it. It sounds like a concert hall and just rings out, which is really cool. So that's when I need extra reverb. And then the next pedal in my chain here is the Electro Harmonix Holy Grail reverb pedal. And I could not recommend this pedal enough. It is a staple in my rig, and I'm sure it will be a staple in my rig for as long as I'm playing. And it's just like I mean, what's not to like? On the spring setting, and of course you can adjust that. I have it a little higher right now. It's got that cool sound to it. And especially for covering Greta Van Fleet songs, that's the pedal that Jake is using a lot of the time. And so if you really want to get that, it's kind of that twangy sound to the tone, then this is your pedal. This is your reverb pedal, and that causes a lot of that kind of haunting sound. And if you turn it up and you kind of send it past the where your regular signal is going through, some of you remember so all of that is this pedal. It all causes that, right? And even the intro of Age of Machine. That's all this pedal. So yeah, cannot recommend that pedal enough. Super, super cool and very, very simple, which is, I like that. I'm not super big into complex, crazy pedals. Well, I have the Thermae here, but like I said, I haven't really explored it because I just don't really take the time to sit down and fully explore the stuff like that. So the Holy Grail, it's one 3-way switch and a knob, and that's it. And it's very nice. So couldn't recommend that pedal enough. It's a staple in my board. It will continue to be so, and it just adds more to your sound. It makes a bigger, thicker tone as a guitar player. So that's the other reverb that I'm running. And then of course, next in the rig, we've got the Lion, the Universal Audio Lion. That's my amp essentially. And then after that is the one exception I said, with that being the last of my rig. So I've got one pedal after that, and that is the Dunlop MXR boost / line driver. And so what that is essentially, it's just a clean boost, a signal boost, and you can set the dBs, how many decibels you want to boost up. Now, the reason I got this pedal is because with the Lion here, there's only so much headroom to work with. And so I've already got it set pretty high to get, that overdriven sound. And so when I were to turn on like a tube screamer, for example, to go do a guitar solo, there's not much more for it to go up. And so the distortion would go up, but the volume wouldn't. And so that was my struggle live, is sure I had a boost pedal, but I didn't have a boost coming through the mix. And so I went in and found this clean boost pedal and tried it out with my rig, and it ended up working well. So what it does is it just takes the signal that's coming out of the end of the chain and it boosts it up however many dB you've got your knob set to. And so I'll demonstrate it here for you. No boost, boost. So I really needed that live, because the mix would be great for rhythm and the rest of the band, but then I would go and start playing a guitar solo and then it wouldn't cut through the mix because it's not it's not loud enough. It's mixed to be rhythm within the mix. And so unless we had a sound guy that was super active and, paying attention to little details like that and boost up the volume a little bit, my solo didn't cut through. So I bought this boost pedal mostly for the live setting, just so I can cut through more when I'm playing in a live gig. So yeah, not much more to my rig than that. I mean, out of that, I go into a Radial Engineering JDI, which is just a DI box, direct input. And that way, the front of house sound guy can just plug what he would normally plug into a microphone, the XLR. He just plugs that into or he or she, just plugs that into my DI box, and I go 1/4 inch in and then the XLR out, and that goes straight to front of house. And then I don't have to worry about miking any amps. Like essentially the cable goes into my DI and my whole rig goes through that way. So it's very, very convenient, very nice. And I don't have to worry about, what if the mic doesn't work, or what if the mic stand fails and the mic falls off the amp speaker or whatever. So it's very cool. I like it. It's convenient. My whole rig fits in my pedalboard case and then my guitar cases, and I couldn't be happier with it. For fine details in terms of the picks I'm using, just the Dunlop Tortex. What are these? 88 millimeters, or 0.88 millimeters. So the green ones, or sometimes I'll use the purple ones. I'm happy with either of those. I just like a thicker, less give on the pick, more solid strum. For guitar strings, I am using D'Addario NYXLs, 10 to, I don't know what the other number is, but they're 10s. And they just work out well for SGs. I find 9s are a little too thin, 10s are the sweet spot. So D'Addario NYXLs and Dunlop picks. And yeah, couldn't be happier with both these brands. They're both serving their purpose very, very well. And these strings, they don't break very often. They've got some sort of coating on them where you can almost feel it when you put the new strings on. They're like glossy, and they protect the strings for a little bit longer than some other brands that are out there. So yeah, that's the brands I'm using. I'm trying to think any other parts of my rig that might be important. I've got my DAW that I'm using is just Logic Pro. I got that in a Pro Apps bundle a few years back while I was in school. And Logic works wonders for what I'm doing. Other than that, I still got the Marshall here. But like I said, I don't really use it that much, especially not for my videos. So that's my rig right now. And I'm super happy with it, and I'm stoked to be taking it around on playing shows. And we've got some cool shows coming up here as well in August and September that we're super excited about. So looking forward to those. If you haven't already, check out my band, The Definitive. We're super cool, and we're working on some new stuff right now as well. Classic rock inspired, but also with influences from like Red Hot Chili Peppers on Vaughn, the drummer's side. And our bass player Evan is super into metal, so guys like Tool and Periphery, and so he's a slap bass player as well. So we kind of blend all those elements together. And of course, Duke, our singer, is a big fan of James Brown and Elvis, and so he's got the moves and the phrasing similar to those guys as well. So yeah, it's a really, really cool blend of influence. Obviously, I've got the Greta and the super classic rock side, but we all bring our own influences to the band, and that's kind of what makes The Definitive. So appreciate you checking us out. We've got an album out on Spotify. We're working on some new stuff right now that will be out hopefully soon. And we've got an Instagram page as well, so feel free to check us out there, YouTube channel. But yeah, thank you guys again for 7,000. Like, it's, when you really think about that number, it is crazy how many people that is. Like, that would fill a small concert hall, or not a small concert hall, like a theater. That would fill a theater. So thank you guys all for being here. I appreciate every one of you, and the support means the world. And I'm super stoked to continue to see this little dream of mine continue to grow and see where it goes as I continue trucking forward. So thank you guys again. Appreciate you all for being here. And until next time, keep on rocking.